But it seems to me that there's got to be more room to be more expansive in the way that we think about the implications of science and the scope of science. I think we teach science almost like a history course, that we sort of say, and here's the next perfect experiment that was designed by someone. It's not taught as you go to work as a scientist every day because you don't know what to do. You don't know the answer, and you're trying to organize your thinking to figure out how to get an answer. I think we teach it the wrong way. So what does the average person know about global research? I would say very little. Global research, I can't remember the numbers now, but you're up into the hundreds of billions of dollars as an industry when you include private sector research activities. So you're talking about a monumental human phenomenon, really. This extraordinary enterprise that's multifaceted, and so I think it's so complex and so large in scope and so subtle in so many ways. I'm not sure people really pay a lot of attention to it. I think when you have something like Ebola, it's an interesting opportunity, but it might be just the wrong kind of opportunity. Because it's just so dramatic, and then the overlays about, flying out the American guy and treating, the story then becomes so fragmented, it doesn't help people really understand what the underlying problems are very well. Excuse me. So I think as well as a field, we have some extraordinary people who, do a really good job in that interface with the media. But I think the way media functions like this is not very helpful. So I think as a community, we could probably do better. What I would love to do is I'd love to spend more time, in high schools or working with teachers, working with school boards, working with curriculum people. How do you, and I mean, you talk to Eric, and Eric Muslin, he got into bioethics in part because he had an extraordinary high school teacher who introduced him to bioethics. And I think that, not just to promote the field, but to open up the way that science has implications in people's lives in all these different ways. So, yeah, I don't think people really get it. And I'm not, the other part of it is that we are so rich and privileged. Now, we have all kinds of problems in our countries as well, but just in general, as a population, we're so unusually wealthy and so uniformly wealthy as a country, even though there are incredibly important pockets of need. That I think it's just not easy for people to really grasp what it means to have somebody having to just lie down to die on a dirt ground outside a ramshackle little hut in a place like Monrovia. It's so foreign from people's experiences. And of course, as I said, when you have had an opportunity to wander around a little bit in villages like that, it doesn't take a lot to just really get it. It's so stark. It's just such a profound experience. So I completely understand why people don't get it. And it's hard to come back and say, oh, you should feel like this, because that's not the way we experience things. One is a very, very limited form of data. I'm going to tell you some things and you'll do some processing. The other is that experiential learning that you get when you're confronted with the full-on scope of data when you're out there meeting people and seeing what's happening. So yeah, I think that it's still very remote for people.